Welcome, welcome. Happy Sunday. Thank you so much for being here. You are such a wonderful pet parent, and I appreciate you. So today we are going to be talking about garlic for dogs. And really quickly, before I get into that, I want to introduce myself. In case you are new here, my name is Jessica, and this is the Pet Parenting Reset. And it hasn't been that long since we changed the channel name, so I want to go just really quickly run through it. I started a new podcast. It is called the Pet Parenting Reset, and I definitely hope you check it out. There are links in the description. The very first one is to my Patreon, but right under that is to my link tree, and my link tree will get you all the links. We'll get you the links to my webpage where you can get the information about the podcast. You can listen to it on my website. You can also listen to it on Spotify. Apple is still indexing it, but it will be in all of the podcast places. So I do hope you check that out. The Pet Parenting Reset is all about different methods for pet parenting success, which is why I'm so glad to have you here today. And I do see that we have a few people. So as you jump in, if you are joining me live, thank you so much. I appreciate you spending part of your day with me. I do hope you post in the chat. Let me know why you're here. Let me know a little bit about you and your pets. And if you have any questions or comments, whether it's related to today's topic or something else, go ahead and post that because I would love to help answer your questions. If you're here live, I would love to answer them for you live. If you are not here live, if you're watching a recording, you can still post in the comments and let me know all the things. And I would love to, get in touch with you, find out what's going on and respond to your comments, answer your questions. So let's jump into today's topic, which is about garlic and dogs. And here's the thing. If you are a patron, if you have joined me on Patreon, one of the perks that you get, in addition to the exclusive, like all of the new and exclusive content that I don't post anywhere else, you get first access to anything that I do post on YouTube. Like if we go live, you get all of that information first. So I've done a ton of research on this, and here's the thing. I've known for a long time now, a few years, that the truth about garlic is that it isn't what you think it is. It's actually, for the most part, okay to feed our dogs, but I haven't addressed it directly on my blog or on this channel. And really quickly, before I get too much further into this, I do want to apologize about the echo. Two things going on. One is we just recently moved into this house. We've only been here a month, and we're still in the process of unboxing everything, and we haven't decorated. We have been furniture shopping so many times. We have been out to I would say literally every furniture store, and there's just a short, there's no supply out there of furniture. So we are trying very hard. I want bookcases back here, and I need to get stuff up on the walls. I did finally get a rug in this office, so the echo may be a teeny little bit less. I also had an external mic that I was using last week, which helped with the echo a little bit as well, but it broke. So yeah, I apologize about the echo. I am working on it. This is not normal. If you go back to any of the other videos, I didn't have an echo, and that was, by design. But in the new house, we're just slowly building up to getting things on the walls, which helps with we have really tall ceilings, so getting things on the walls. I did, like I said, get the rug on the floor in here finally, which took me a few weeks. And so getting furniture and getting decorations on the walls, that's all going to help a lot with the echo, and I'm working on it. So anyway, I did want to address that really quickly in case you are new here. Okay, here's the thing, and before I say anything else, here is the disclaimer. You should always, always, always consult with your hopefully holistic veterinarian before adding or removing anything from your dog's diet. Now, if you are talking to an allopathic or a traditional veterinarian, a Western medicine veterinarian, they may still continue to tell you that absolutely 100% no, you do not feed garlic to your dogs. And that's because they just haven't done the research. And I get it. I have dealt with veterinarians. They have I feel like they have negative time. They are so busy and so overwhelmed. And I've talked about this in other videos, but just to kind of sum it up, we as pet parents, and I'm not saying you specifically because you're watching this video, so you may not fall into this category, but just in general as a society, we completely rely on our veterinarians for way too much. Yes, they are medical professionals. However, I mean, we have to take some responsibility and learn some things ourselves and do for our pets, right? And hopefully for us as well, but we're talking about our veterinarians. So our veterinarians are seriously overworked, and they just don't have the time to go out and research for themselves, which is what it takes to garner this new information, which isn't all that new. But here's the thing. If you ask most people about garlic and dogs, they will say, like, unequivocally, absolutely not, 100% do not feed garlic to your dogs. And unfortunately, for a lot of dogs, garlic can be very beneficial. Now, regardless of what we're talking about, anything in excess can be bad. And garlic falls under that category. I mean, we're not going to feed, 10 bulbs of garlic to our dog every single day. That's not, our dog wouldn't even eat that. So, I get it. Now, I used to think like you too. Like, I used to be right there. I thought garlic was horrible. You could not. It was completely toxic. You couldn't feed it to dogs. But here's the thing. The main reason that I wanted to cover this topic today is because we've moved to Texas. And so I spent the majority of my life in Virginia. That's where I was born and raised. And while I was in Virginia, I did all the things that the traditional veterinarian told me. I mean, I literally, if the vet told me to do something XYZ, I did it XYZ. And it wasn't until after I had moved away and grown up a little bit and started doing research for myself that I learned a lot. Now, I'm not a veterinarian. However, there's a lot of bad information on the internet, but there's a lot of good information too. So garlic has a bad rap because of some research that was done. And honestly, like, if you really look at the research, I don't think it was the best research, because when these scientists were studying the effects of garlic on dogs, they were using garlic extract, which I don't recommend using, and no one that I can find anywhere recommends using, or they were using insanely high doses of this garlic extract. And again, I don't recommend, no one I can find recommends, right? So here's the kicker. Western medicine, or allopathic medicine, or traditional medicine, as we might call it, and I have called it in a lot of videos, just simply does not know what to do with food as medicine. And they don't understand it. They just don't understand it. And honestly, I'm still learning a lot about it too. There is so much to learn about it. And I hope you're learning about it as well, because food is medicine. What we put into our bodies, what we put into our dogs' bodies, what we put into our cats' bodies, that is information for the cells. And so we really need to pay a lot more attention and do our own research, because here's the thing. Food isn't produced by or marketed by pharmaceutical companies. So it's not what we think of when we think of healing the body or keeping our body healthy to begin with, but it absolutely should be. So here's what I want to tell you about garlic. Garlic is absolutely amazing. It's actually in the lily family. A lot of people lump garlic and onions into the same family, and that's not true. That's not the case. 100% as of today, right now, you should not feed any onion whatsoever to any canine. Absolutely. Onions and garlics, two separate things. Still do not feed onion. 100% no onion. Garlic, however, has amazing benefits. Now, for you as a human, onions they have wonderful benefits, but garlic, and these are true for dogs, these are true for humans as well. Some of the benefits of a garlic include it's an antiseptic, it's an antibiotic, it's antifungal. Garlic is antimicrobial. It is, in some cases, it has been used as a deworming agent. It can be used as an expectorant, which is what you use for coughs and colds. It lowers blood pressure. It can prevent clotting. It supports good bacteria in the gut. So very important. It helps to fight cancer cells, and yes, there is research on that. It helps to reduce cholesterol. There's research on all of this, by the way. And it can be used as a natural detox, especially after a round of antibiotics. So the Whole Dog Journal. Now, again, if you are a patron, if you're on Patreon and you follow me on Patreon and you are part of that family, which I highly recommend that you do, that you get over there and join the family. You got all of this information, like I said earlier, before I went live on YouTube with it, and you get all of the links. So you can check all of this out yourself, click on all the links, go everywhere, do your own research, which I highly recommend doing. I'm here to plant a seed, right? I'm here to provide information, but I always recommend you doing your own research. And the links that I give you are a great way to get started in that research. So I definitely recommend checking that out. But the Whole Dog Journal talked about goodness gracious, Hilary Self of Somerset, England. They quoted her. She is the founder of Hilton Herbs, which is an international supplier of herbal supplements for horses and dogs. She calls garlic the best known and most widely used herb in the world, and says that for a natural detox, garlic is absolutely brilliant. And I say it that way because I want you, like, I can't do an English accent, but let's try. Absolutely brilliant. That's how she says it. When given to dogs following treatment with conventional antibiotics. So that is amazing because antibiotics destroys our system. There are times when we need antibiotics. There are times when our dogs need antibiotics. I completely, I get that. I am not against pharmaceuticals. I think there is a time and place for them, absolutely. But they do, antibiotics does a number on our system, and we have to, the reason we use the antibiotics is to get all of the bad stuff out, right? The problem is that antibiotics don't distinguish between good and bad. So while they're getting rid of all the bad stuff, they get rid of all the good stuff too. So we really have to be super aware and hopefully before, definitely during, and 100% after. We have to be very, very aware and replenish the good bacteria as much as possible, because the good bacteria, we need the bad bacteria. Don't get me wrong, we need some of it, but we need more good bacteria to keep that bad bacteria in check. There is that symbiosis in our body that is always happening. And when it's out of whack, when there's more bad than good, that's when we get sick. So, that's a very simplified, 10,000 foot view, but that's basically why. So here's the thing. In the US, most pet parents find out in the US that garlic actually isn't all that bad for our dogs because they're looking for natural flea and tick remedies. And in fact, that's how I came to realize that garlic isn't all that bad for our dogs as well. And the reason that I started writing this blog, or putting this live together and doing the research for it, is because now that we're in Texas, there are lots of critters, and I want to do everything I can naturally to help my dog Kim to keep all those pests away from her. Now, she's pretty darn healthy. We're still working to help her lose a little bit of weight. We helped her to gain a little bit of weight during COVID, but we're helping her to lose it now. But outside of that, she's pretty darn healthy. She eats a species-specific, biologically appropriate diet. She gets generally very healthy treats, and yeah, I'm just like looking at her. She's so beautiful. And I want to do everything as naturally as I possibly can for her. So and I've talked about this in other lives and on other blog posts and in other videos, I'm doing lots of other natural things to help keep down the fleas and the ticks and the mosquitoes and all of that. Doing all of the things, I realize that I can actually do a little bit more. And I want to do everything I can. So I started researching garlic a little bit more because I wanted to do this live for you, but also because I'm going to be adding it into her diet to help naturally repel fleas and ticks. So that's how I came to realize, and that's how most people in the US come to realize, that garlic actually isn't as bad for dogs as we were previously led to believe. However, there are all of these other wonderful benefits of garlic, and yeah, like I just don't know why. Like, we need to realize that it's not just about flea and tick prevention, right? It's about, this is a wonderful plant that can really help in so many areas. However, there are caveats to this, right? Like there's other things we need to consider. So Angela is here. Thank you so much for being here, Angela. What about garlic water? Garlic water work too. Okay, so Angela, I'm just getting ready to get into how we actually use garlic with our dogs, how we actually feed it, and I'm gonna say no to the garlic water. And I'm gonna explain here in just a moment. So, before you start feeding garlic, there are some do's and don'ts, and we need to go over these. Let's go over some of the don'ts. First off, do not feed pre-chopped garlic. So when you go into the grocery store, sometimes you can find those jars of pre-chopped garlic. While, excuse me. Oh, let me get a sip of water. While that seems incredibly convenient, you're not going to get the benefits you want from it. And I'm going to explain a little bit more in detail. Also, do not feed pre-peeled garlic. So you can also purchase like bags of pre-peeled garlic. Don't get those either. And never, ever, 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 never feed garlic from China. You don't need to be eating garlic from China either. And here's the deal. We want garlic grown in the US. Now, if you're like in Canada or something, you want locally grown garlic, basically. Now, I'm in the US, which is why I say you want garlic grown in the US. If you can get it grown locally, if you can grow it, wonderful. Preferably local, always organic. Never, ever, ever, never, never, never purchase garlic from China, period. End of story. And here's the thing, the majority of those jars of pre-chopped garlic or those bags of pre-peeled garlic are garlic coming out of China. That's not the only reason, though, you don't want to use those. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that in just a minute. So, Chinese garlic consistently tests positive for unsafe levels of arsenic, heavy metals, and chlorine, not to mention it's typically grown in sewage. And if you're getting Chinese garlic, if you're getting any garlic grown in China, you absolutely do not want that. You don't want it for you. You definitely don't want it for your dogs. And I am not saying this to I'm not trying to China bash. I'm not at all. What I'm saying is these are facts about the garlic that is being brought in from China. And in fact, it is so bad that if you look at a bulb of garlic from the US and you look at a bulb of garlic from China, the bulb of garlic from the US, you're going to see all the little like, what is it called? Like roots and everything on the bottom. If you look at the bulb of garlic from China, you're going to see that there's nothing there. It was chopped off. That is the only way they can legally import it, because they are trying to reduce the amounts of arsenic and heavy metals and chlorine coming into the food, coming in the food that's coming into the country. That was a little tongue twister, but never, ever, ever. That, like, it's not safe for you. It is not safe for your dogs. I would definitely 100% recommend. We watched my husband and I watched a documentary a few years ago about garlic, and we would rather go without garlic than buy Chinese garlic, because it is that bad. So don't do that. What you do want to do, however, is buy fresh, local, organic, whole, if I can talk, bulbs of garlic, U.S. grown or locally grown if you're not in the U.S. Peel and chop the garlic clove 15 to 24 minutes before you're feeding it. And this is why I say no to the garlic water, because you only want to feed raw, organic, locally grown garlic. You want to feed the freshest possible garlic to your dog, because chopping the garlic clove releases an enzyme called allanase, and when it's crushed, minced, or chopped, it combines with allicin to create allicin. I think that's how it's called. It sounds like a female name, but that's not how it's spelled. So allicin is the active medical ingredient in garlic that gives it those antibiotic, anti-cancer, antiviral, and antioxidant properties. So that is why you want to actually have a fresh, whole, raw piece of garlic that you have the bulb, right? That raw, living garlic that you pull a clove off, right? A clove of garlic off of the bulb. You smash it to get the peel off. You chop it or mince it, or however you're going to do for your dog, and you let it set for 15 to 20 minutes, giving those enzymes time to react. But you don't want to let it set longer than that. Right at that 15 to 20 minute mark, you want to immediately feed it. Anything outside of that window, the enzymes have done their thing and they're gone. They're dead, right? They've expired. So it's very important that you have the fresh whole piece of garlic, local, raw, organic, living garlic, right? That's what you want. Not from China. And that once you mince it or chop it, you let it sit for about 15 minutes and you immediately feed it. Now, here's the thing. There are still some concerns, because we don't necessarily want to feed garlic to a pregnant dog, puppies under 8 months old, or dogs who are taking drugs, pharmaceuticals that could be contraindicated with garlic. Some of these drugs include heart medications, blood thinners, chemotherapy drugs, blood pressure drugs, and immune suppressants, among others, which again is why I had the disclaimer at the very beginning of this video that you should always consult your holistic veterinarian before adding or removing anything to your dog's diet. So, how much garlic should you feed your dog? Now that we've talked a little bit about the do's and the don'ts, how much garlic should you feed your dog? Now that you've talked to your holistic veterinarian and you know that it's completely safe for you to start feeding your dog garlic, I decided, I found a few different, how do I want to say this, like feeding guidelines online. And while they were a little bit different, they were all pretty darn similar. Some of them were in like grams, some of them were in teaspoons, and some of them were in cloves. Now, I recently read Dr. Pitcairn's book on naturally raising dogs and cats, And so I identified more closely with Kimberly over at Keep the Tail Wagging. She has a blog post, which again I have linked in the Patreon post. If you're not on Patreon, I hope you join me over there. So I chose to go with what she published for feeding guidelines because she got it from Dr. Pitcairn's book, which again I also recently read. So which is why I more closely identified with it. And here's the thing: simple wins in my house. Like the simplest way to get it done, that's generally how it, like that wins in my house. So a 10 to 15 pound dog should get about half a clove per day. Now clove sizes vary, which is why it may not be 100% accurate, but if you want to go with grams, you can go with grams. If you want to go with teaspoons, go with teaspoons. For me, like if I'm looking at a clove this big versus a clove this big or a clove this big, it's not that big of a difference for my dog. It's not going to be like, if I go from a clove this big to a clove this big, I'm not going to overfeed garlic to my dog. It's still not toxic. So half a clove a day for 10 to 15 pounds, which is what Kimberly is. She's going to get half a clove a day. 20 to 40 pounds, 1 clove per day. 45 to 70 pounds, 2 cloves per day. So here are my disclaimers, guys. If you're not going to feed fresh, raw, organic garlic from the US or locally grown to you, don't feed it. Just don't feed it. And I saw, I think it was on Dogs Naturally. I think it was on Dogs Naturally. They had a similar list like this, which was like, I like that, so I made my own. If you're not going to feed fresh, raw, organic garlic from the US or locally grown to you, don't feed it. If you want to feed pre-chopped garlic, nope, don't feed it. You're better off not feeding it. You're not going to get the medicinal properties from it, so what's the point? If you don't want to take the time to read the label at the store to make sure it's not from China, then don't feed it. If you don't want to chop the garlic fresh and wait the 15 minutes to feed it, don't feed it. You're not going to get the medicinal properties from it, so there's no point. If you're concerned about poisoning your dog with garlic, then don't feed it. I'm not. I've done the research and I'm not concerned at all. I know that it's always, with everything, there's a risk versus reward. It's all, is the risk greater or is the reward greater? And for me, the reward is greater. And if that's not the case for you, that's great. That's wonderful. I'm not telling you have to feed your dog garlic. What I am telling you is that there is a lot of information out there that says that there are a ton of benefits of feeding garlic to your dog. So, yeah, if you think you're not going to get the dose right, don't feed it. But for me, it's pretty darn simple, and I hope you do take the time to do your own research and start feeding garlic to your dog as long as your veterinarian says it's okay. You're hopefully holistic veterinarian, because there are so many wonderful benefits. Now again, if your dog is on chemotherapy or they're already on blood thinners for some reason or heart medications, then garlic is probably contraindicated because they do similar things. So you don't want to overdose on the pharmaceutical in addition to the natural plant therapy. Anyway, that is what I wanted to talk to you guys about today. And thank you all so much for being here. I do see we have quite a few people here. I would love to hear from you. Go ahead and post in the chat. Let me know you're here. Let me know if you have any questions, whether it's about garlic or something else. I'm here. I also, on the Patreon post, again, I do hope you join me over on Patreon. There were a bunch of links in the post I gave today about garlic. One of them is from a recent video. It's on Facebook that Dr. Karen Becker and Rodney Habib did. Habib. I want to say Habib because I'm from the South, but I know it's Habib. So if you want to hear all of this information, how garlic actually has wonderful benefits, and this is how you feed it, and this is how much you feed, you can do that. I put the link in the Patreon post directly to the Facebook video. And I did also want to mention, because Dr. Becker does mention it in her video that I linked, that there just haven't been any studies of substance done on cats eating garlic. So at this time, the recommendation is still no, do not feed garlic at all to your cats. I was particularly interested in this, and I did try to do research online, and she's like, I couldn't find any. The only things I can find online are do not feed it. So yeah, there's that. There just isn't as much research out there on cats as there is dogs. And I talked to Nikki, she's Canine Health Nut, but she has an interest in feline health as well. I talked to her not too long ago, and she was saying that basically for every 10 studies she finds on whatever topic she's looking for in nutrition on dogs, she may, if she's lucky, find one study of that same thing with cats, if she's lucky. And a lot of times there aren't any. So it's really, there's just not a lot of research out there being done, or has been done in the past, and it doesn't look like that is going to be done. People just don't. Dogs are much easier to work with, I get that, but there's just not a lot of research out there on cats. So as of this moment, and we do know that cats are more sensitive to the compounds that are found in garlic. Also, Japanese breed dogs, there are some Japanese breed dogs that are more sensitive to these compounds in garlic as well, which is, again, why I say, and I've already said, I think twice in this video, definitely check with your holistic veterinarian to make sure it's appropriate for your dog, because every dog is different. And, you know, it's like Kimberly at Keep the Tail Wagging says all the time, feed the dog in front of you, or feed the animal in front of you, because everyone is different. So yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about today. Thank you guys so much for being here with me. Thank you for spending a little bit of your Sunday with me. If you're watching a replay of this video, thank you for taking the time to watch it. I appreciate you. And let me know in the comments, do you feed garlic? Do you not feed garlic? Did you find anything useful in this video? Because I learned that garlic has so many more medicinal benefits outside of just natural flea and tick repellent, which is why I wanted to start feeding it in the first place. So I'm right there in that group of U.S. pet parents who are only looking at garlic for flea and tick prevention. But there are so many other wonderful benefits, including because Kim is healthy. She's very healthy. The keeping everything in the gut balanced and encouraging the good bacteria in the gut. That's another wonderful reason. Kim just had her kefir this morning, which most mornings she gets raw goat's milk. This morning I decided to give her some kefir. I thawed out some kefir yesterday. And the kefir is from Open Farms, and it has turmeric and cinnamon, organic turmeric and organic cinnamon, lactobacillus, all of those wonderful things. So we are doing everything we can to keep her gut strong and healthy and those good bacteria flourishing, and the garlic is only going to help with that. So again, check all of the links in the description. The link tree is going to get you to everything, including my Patreon. I do hope you liked this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, and make sure to hit that subscribe button. If you're not already subscribed, click the button. It'll be red. Click it and turn it gray. When that happens, a bell will appear. Click the bell and select all notifications. That way YouTube can tell you if I upload a video or if I'm going live, any of those wonderful things. Also, in the link tree, one of the links I really want to call out is to join the texting family. That way I can text you and give you a 15-minute heads up. Hey, I'm going live. That's pretty much the only time I text you is if I'm going live. Yeah, so definitely check that out. Check me out over on Patreon. Listen to and follow the podcast. Wherever you get your podcast, search the Pet Parenting Reset. I'm not sure, in fact, let me look if it's on Apple. Apple Podcast takes a while to index a new podcast. It's been on Spotify for a couple of weeks, but let me check Apple Podcast really quickly. And then I can let you know if it's there. The Pet Parenting Reset. Nope, not yet, but it will be. They just take some time. It is on Spotify. Let me show you. Woo. Come on. My phone is being slow all of a sudden. See, that's what it's doing. It's being slow. It is on Spotify though, so check it out, the Pet Parenting Reset, and follow along there. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate each and every one of you. You are a wonderful pet parent. And thank you for joining me on the Pet Parenting Reset, where we provide different methods for pet parenting success. Can't wait to see you. Oh, here it is. Can't wait to see you in the next video. And there it is on Spotify. Check it out. And I'll see you next time. Bye.